Hey, 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 yeah.
Oh, hello everybody. I'm PegLegCraig. Welcome back to another week. Tonight, we're going to try to take things down a notch because what I'm starting to notice from people is that we're becoming increasingly disobedient to God in the service of our values as MAGA in trying to bring about the change that we need. And what's happening is that I really do believe, and don't get me wrong on this, but I really do believe that we are getting we're starting to break off into these cults. And again, I don't want to call it a cult because it's not technically, but at the same time, we're not acting in a way where we're being individuals. What I like about the MAGA movement is a very simple thing. We accept news as we find it, where we find it, and we act upon that news. Okay. Now, last week I brought about I mentioned Howard Stern back in his heyday when he was still on terrestrial radio, and Howard Stern had a cult following. All right, if you messed with Howard Stern, like I would hear different talk radio stations mention Howard Stern in some negative way, and then their entire call log after that would be loaded with angry Howard Stern fans. And it was an effective thing. It definitely scared people from even mentioning the guy. But what I worry about is we are becoming cultish in the sense that we don't know what we're doing anymore. We're starting to just blindly follow people no matter what they say. Now, I'm very interested in what people have to say, and I want to absorb as much news as is physically possible in the course of a day so that I know what's going on in the world. Because one of my duties in uh, being a child of God is to be a watchman. And in order to be a watchman, you have to know what's going on. And you have to be involved. You have to be engaged. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, what we're starting to do is we're surrounding ourselves. Okay. If all of us, for the sake of this picture, fresh oranges gather around this spoiled orange, look what starts to happen. And again, it's not a problem to be interested or involved with people or to like people or to stand behind people. That's all perfectly well. What we're starting to do is we're creating factions of MAGA that are fighting against each other. And the funny thing is, they're all saying, all I want is united MAGA. And what they're all doing is dividing MAGA. So I'm not going to play that game. I'm not into cults of personality. I'm into finding out what's going on, what's in the news, and what it's all about. And the first thing that we have to do in order to do this is we have to use discernment that comes from the Bible. And I am now going to put you through some of that. Today, my pastor at church was um, reading from James, and it was on a different topic, but it very well fit into what I was framing for tonight. And that's what I want to work on with you now. All right. Because what we're doing is we're falling off the wagon. We're going too far. We're going in the wrong direction. And we're acting now like savages. We're acting like picture Moses seeing the golden calf, because that's what we're doing. We're creating all these golden calves and we're not doing what we're supposed to do, which is unify with our Christian brothers and sisters and make the world and America, most importantly, a safe and good place for Christianity. Okay. Now, this is from James chapter 1, verse 11. And yeah, I'm going to do some reading today. For the sun is no sooner risen with burning heat, but it withereth the grass, and the flower thereof falleth, and the grace of the fashion it perisheth. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. All right, that really wasn't where I wanted to start. 12 was actually where I wanted to start. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life which the Lord has promised to them that love him. All right, now before I continue, I want to put you in a place and in a frame of mind. All right, if you're culting behind some influencer who you believe in and you're going on the attack against others and you're doing it in a vile way, I want you to picture yourself on the white throne judgment talking to Jesus and God about what you did wrong, about why you did that. What facts on the ground don't Jesus know? Okay, because we're getting to a point where we're destroying God's word for the sake of winning the MAGA argument, and that is not what we are about, and it should not be what we're about anyway. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away from his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variables, neither shadow or of turning. Of his own will beget he us with the word of truth, that we should be kind. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, let me do that one again. Of his own will begot he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. I'm sorry, my dyslexia is really acting up today. Of his own will begat he us with the Lord of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. That means that we got to stand at the forefront. We have to be the premium, the cream of the crop. I mean, I know I read it discombobulated about 3 times there, and I apologize for that. But if you read the verse right there that's on the screen, you'll see it for yourself. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. You hear that now? I'm going to do that one again. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Do you understand? When you're attacking other people who say something about someone that you don't like and not making a constructive argument, not only do you sound like a leftist, oh, we use 77,000 pieces of this and whatever else, all those real snarky comments like that, you're acting in wrath. You're not acting as someone who wants to understand, wants to help bring people together. You're only dividing. And if you allow these people to divide us, we will be conquered. A house divided cannot stand. Wherefore, lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. Do you understand? This is about your soul. This is what I'm worried about, your soul. I'm worried about MAGA, I'm worried about America, but I am far more worried about your souls. But ye be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. Now, that's for people who say, well, I go to church on Sunday, I listen, I read the Bible a couple days a week. If you're not practicing what God teaches us, then what are you doing? You're being the person right there. I mean, you're the guy in 22. Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So you're lying to yourself. You're saying, I'm a good Christian because I go every Sunday, because I read the Bible every day, I pray, I do all that good stuff, but you're not practicing what you preach to yourself. 23. For if any be a bearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. But whosoever looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not forgetful hearer, not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. Pure religion and undef- and pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this: to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. I'm sorry about these poor readings. That was just really terrible. Um, what my concern is here is that we are going to win the MAGA war, let's say, but we're going to lose our souls in the process. And that's not something that I want. I mean, as a MAGA chaplain, my first duty is to your soul. My first duty is to say to you, look, we have to do this, but we have to do this the right way. We have to do it God's way. Now, I know this is going to be very unpopular, and I'm going to say a lot of things that make me unpopular tonight, but that's okay because you know what? Nobody pays attention to me anyway. So let me take you to Ephesians 4:29. Let no corrupt communication proceed from your mouth, but that which is good for the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. All right, let me do that one more time. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good for the use of edifying, to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. So if you're out there calling this one that and that one this, and you're knocking this one and you're making trouble with that one, you're not doing what God wants you to do. You know, if you really take this to a more organic level, God doesn't even want you to insult somebody. God doesn't want you to call people names. And I know people don't understand that, but here it is right there in Matthew 5:22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, which basically means fool, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Now, this is for all you people who say, well, once saved, always saved. Well, apparently that is not the case, not in God's eyes, because he's talking about people that attend church and believe, and yet, this is what we're doing. We're producing this horrible fruit of attacking one another, of going after each other, of calling this one a name, calling that one a name. And everyone that says, oh, once you start calling names, it's over. Well, that's true. But most of the people that are doing that aren't stopping their people from going out there and calling other people names. I pray for the people who are caught up in their own agenda to such a degree that they're being disobedient to God. And I don't care which one of the influencers you want to go with, all right? Any one of them has an issue with God at this point because what they're doing is they're savaging all the other groups and then they're saying that it's for the sake of unity. And this could be any of them. It doesn't have to be the big three that you've been hearing about all week from everybody else. And I don't need to mention names because I'm not into that cult of personality stuff. I am into Jesus Christ and I am into bringing more souls to Christ and stop people from turning away from Christ. All right. We don't have to attack this one and attack that one by name. What it does is all it does is it fuels the fire. Then you watch the comment sections of this one who attacks that one and that one who attacks this one. And all you see are vitriol and some of the worst, most disgusting vitriol. And we're better than that. And as a Christian, you darn well better be better than that because God tells you to. I just read you the verses. The other thing that worries me about it is that we're coming to a place where we are falling away from something, taking something beautiful out of something ugly. And I want to convey that, which is simply this: Charlie Kirk, let's carry on his mission. One of the reasons why I don't like a lot of the, I'm not saying I don't like a lot of the people that are spokespeople for TPUSA now. What I don't like about them is that none of them bring Jesus like Charlie did. All right. Charlie was unafraid to mention Jesus on a college campus in the middle of a debate about his dogmatic ideas and what he believed in. He was never afraid to do that. And, I mean, you can't count on a lot of these people to bring Jesus with them because they're afraid. They try to sound as secular as possible for fear of, being ostracized in some way. And that's just not how God wants us to be. That's not how God demands that we serve him. He demands that we serve him humbly. We don't arrogantly attack this one. We don't arrogantly attack that one. We don't start fights. We answer questions. We have dialogue. We work it all out together. And if we don't do that, then we're showing an incredible disobedience to God. Now, there's a couple things that I want to get to, which are kind of important to me this week, and one of them is this. I did a earlier stream this week, which I don't normally do more than one stream a week, but this was important, and it still is. And the thing is I know that because I'm nobody and nobody cares about me at all, that I can't get the word out there. So I'm hoping that somebody that listens to me, I have maybe about 600 or 700 of you on Getter, and I love you all. Thank you so much. Please get the word out about this because this is a problem and it has to be solved. This worries me more than even the other stuff. There are 80 teens missing in Virginia in 1 month. I kid you not. 80 teens missing in Virginia. And I looked today, there was even a few more. I rattled off the names. You can see it in my previous video. It has this as the thumbnail. Okay. Uh, these are just AI kids. These aren't the actual children, obviously. Um, they're mostly teenagers, but I mean, some are as young as 11, 12, 13, 14. I know that a lot of them have domestic situations and they run to this one or they go to that one or they go away with friends or they ran off with a boyfriend. That it accounts for some of it, but not 80 in 1 month. New Jersey, by comparison, had, I believe, four. I rattled that off too. That's in the video. Virginia and New Jersey are similar size and have similar size populations. I believe Virginia has slightly more at 9.5. New Jersey's, I don't know, is a little over 9. But there are 80 kids out there. They're missing. There are parents missing them. There are loved ones missing them. There are friends missing them. And we don't know what's happening to them. We don't know where they are. I looked and I saw that maybe about 2 or 3 have found their way home, but I also saw that another 3 or 4 have disappeared since, I did the video. So something's going on in Virginia. It's in the water. I don't see that number in any other state anywhere. And yeah, I know Virginia is very close to Washington, D.C. And, of course, that conjures up images of, the satanic forces at work there. And a lot of them live in Virginia. So I'm not saying it's any of that. I mean, I believe that it could be a streak of different things. It could be a private network. It could be private networks of people that are trafficking these people. It could be um, a larger group who's taking them in. Some of it could have to do with cultish behavior. Uh, Anything down the line. I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know, and we don't know. We have to find out. Now, I'm trying to get this out this week. I'm going to try and scrape enough money together to join the Jeremy at the Quarterings Discord to see if I can get the word out in there. And it's only $6, I know, but for me, $6 is a whole lot of money. And you notice I don't have a cup out and I don't ask you for money. I try to do this, to the best of my ability with what resources I have. So I'm going to try and get the word out, at least to him, because I do believe he would cover it. He's a pretty decent guy. He cares about people, and he certainly cares about young people. And I'm certain he would care about young people in this situation. And I want you to care too. Again, go to that video, see it. I rattled off the names. I'm not asking you to do this for my fame. I swear, I get no money for this. Share the video, cut everything out, and just put the part in with the disappearing kids, with the kids that are disappeared. All right. Take credit for it. I don't care. Go to the same registry I did, Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and look it up yourself and rattle it off yourself and act like it was your own idea. I don't care. What I care about are these kids. And I care that nobody seems to care. No matter how much I push this on social media anywhere, and I have followers in different places, I can't get any oxygen from anybody. And I don't understand why. I mean, you people that were into Pizzagate, you should be all over this. Where are you? I'm not saying whether I believe Pizzagate or I don't, or I believe aspects of it, which I do, and some I don't. Okay, where are you people? We have to rescue these children. There are 80 children out there, and just from the state of Virginia. I know there are a lot of other places, but this is an epidemic. This is practically a pandemic for teens in Virginia. I mean, it's almost like weapons is happening. They're just magically disappearing. So please, 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 if you do nothing else, if you don't listen to me in any other way, shape, or form, please get the message out about these kids. Let's find them. Let's bring them home. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are missing. All right, now let's move on to the next subject, which is a little less sexy. And I noticed as soon as I brought up the kids, boy, all of a sudden, all the listeners I had were evaporating. Amazing. It's just amazing. We don't want to confront this. We don't want to fight this. It absolutely frightens me to think that we've become like this, that nobody seems to care. It's I don't know. Anyway, let me move on to the next topic for now. And let's get to the elections. Now, again, firstly, I have a problem here because I don't want this guy to win. I don't want this guy to win. I do want this guy to win, but he actually has no chance of winning. I can't, in good conscience, tell you to vote for Cuomo. I could tell you that if you're going with the lesser of two evils argument, here's the devil you know, and here's the devil you don't know. Now, Mondami's been caught in some lies this week. He's, his poor auntie that doesn't wear a hijab and wasn't in New York during 9/11. or anytime near that. And then he said, "Oh, no, no, it was a niece or a cousin or something like that." And it turned out that person wasn't here either. So, I mean, the man is already lying to you. We've already seen videos all over the internet of the type of rage this man has. I pray that this man can soften his heart and become a human being, but I don't want to see him become mayor. Cuomo, allegedly the grandma killer. I can't in good conscience tell you to vote for Cuomo. And I mean, Curtis has issues. He's had issues, but he's repented for his issues. So he's the only person I can tell you to vote for. So I don't know what to tell you there. But I can tell you this. If you can't use Curtis, then, vote for the lesser of two evils. Let me put it that way. All right, one more. Here we go. Abigail Spamberger. This is a woman who has absolutely no problem at all putting men in women's locker rooms, having boys who are transitioning, competing against girls. Now, I want you to think about this. You raise a little girl from the time that she's a small kid, all right, and she shows a propensity that she is very good at this sport. Let's say, let's even go with somebody like a Serena Williams and her sister Venus. Um, They were starting tennis at a very young age. They worked all their lives so hard to become the champions that they became. Now, what if they were to do that and someone 2 weeks away decides that he wants to be a woman and compete against women, and he has all the equipment of a man, and yeah, he may take some kind of estrogen to lower his testosterone levels, but he still has to build the upper body. And even I believe Serena Williams was the one who admitted that she wouldn't be even in the top 100 rankings amongst men as a tennis player. And I mean, that's saying it fair and square. And this lady right here, Abigail Spamberger, she wants to encourage this. She wants this to happen. She wants more of this. Why should we allow someone like her to steal the hard work, the absolute labor that people have put in, to become a champion only to have it stolen away by an unfair advantage? I can't even imagine who decides that's an okay thing. Now, her opponent is Winsome Earl Sears. And again, I've had issues with her, but I like her. I do. I don't dislike her. I know that she's a little bit squishy for a Republican, but I can tell you that she is far right by comparison to Abigail Spam. Right? This is a woman who will protect your gun rights. She will protect the children in the locker room. She won't let these socialist programs go on. And once she is actually governor, you can bet that I will do everything I can, which is just about nothing, as I've proven before, to try and get the message to her about these missing children. And I'm going to be keeping track of it. I've been doing it every month. The month before, I had 40 children in Virginia that went missing. About nine of them were found or came home safe or whatever else. And the other 31 are still out there somewhere in the wind. And this month it's 80. And I've seen maybe, like I said, a few come back, two or three, but there's still so many of them out there and we don't know where they are. Are they safe? Can we save them? Can we do something? So Winsome Earl Sears is really your best option in Virginia. There is no other option, in fact. All right. Moving on to the other part of elections. I want to go over to New Jersey now, and we're going to first we're going to go to our favorite, uh, basically New Jersey's Abigail Spamberger. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put this up about Abigail Spamberger versus Winsome Earl Sears, because this is kind of an important charting right here. This will show you the absolute contrast. And by the way, you could do this with Citarelli and Mikey Sherrill too. Abigail Spanberger, abortion on demand, yes. Winsome Earl Sears, no. Protect girls' sports, when Abigail Spanberger, no. Winsome Earl Sears, yes. Allow parents to choose the best schools for their children. School choice. No more indoctrination. Abigail Spanberger don't want that, but Winsome Earl Sears does. Photo ID. Abigail Spanberger, no, because she'd lose her whole voting base. Winsome Earl Sears, yes. Late term abortion. Abigail Spanberger, yes. Winsome Earl Sears, no. Parental Bill of Rights for Education. Abigail Spanberger, no. Winsome Earl Sears, yes. I think that's all you need to know. You really don't need to know anything else. All right, as I'm going back now, let me get to New Jersey because we have a problem. All right, we have this woman, Mikey Sherrill, and this is who she is. She's the type of person that would go for everything that you saw Abigail Spanberger go for because she's already been tested on those issues. All right. It's alleged, and I believe that Fox News is reporting that she was part of the cheating scandal at the Naval Academy, and I'm sorry, Air Force at the academy that she went to. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I had notes, but I lost them. Sorry. But she's part of the cheating scandal there. Just look it up and you'll see. And you have a choice, New Jersey. You have Jack Citarelli, who I think honestly has undergone a Rubio like transformation. You know, I call it Rubioization, I guess, because he knows that New Jersey's in trouble and he knows that he had to shift far to the right. And yes, of course, everyone puts their best face forward in an election trying to do that. But at the same time, uh, he's doing it in a much more sincere way. I mean, I haven't been able to actually go see him live yet, but from what I have seen, you know, and what he's talking about, he does not sound like the same Jack Citarelli I didn't like you know, some years ago. It's like he's grown, he's evolved. And again, I know you say what you say to get the election, but in New Jersey, usually to win the election, the Republican has to out Democrat the Democrat, like Chris Christie did. So let's remember Jack Citarelli, okay, and let's vote for him on election day. Another election that I'm very concerned about is one of my favorite people, and I mention him on the show every opportunity that I can, and that's our DJ Daniel. His father, Theodius Daniel, is running for Congress in Texas's 18th district, and he's had a lot of problems. He's, you know, been with the GOP even, and to me, that's just absolutely crazy. This is the best possible person. You see the type of child that he raised. All right, you see what this young man, DJ Daniel, has overcome to be where he is now. And it's not just all about him. He's all about everyone. I see pictures of him embracing, you know, people in a wheelchair. He tied Madison Cawthorn's shoes at Charlie Kirk's funeral. I mean, this is a beautiful young man, and he doesn't get that way unless he's raised right. And that means Theodius Daniel. All right. The other election that concerns me, and Scott Pressler is very worried right now. So if Scott Pressler's worried, I'm worried. Pennsylvania. These justices locked down Pennsylvania during COVID and stole the 2020 election. Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht return the favor by voting X, meaning no, on retention for them this November. Please, please, Pennsylvania is Scott Pressler has put so much work into making Pennsylvania a red state that he has turned the tables in so many counties, and he has done endless walks, labors, knocking on doors, We can't lose this in a midterm election like this. Well, not the midterm election, but we can't lose it in this election. All right. We need to keep his momentum going. So these people have to go. If they don't, Pennsylvania is going to be really screwed. And I can tell you that the gun laws in Pennsylvania will be undergoing some deconstruction if these people stay in power, because there are some uh, legal cases which are up before, which will be coming up to the Supreme Court. All right, getting off the elections for a minute. I'm really upset with a lot of people this week because of how you're treating Erica Kirk. All right. Look, I have a beef with one thing. I have a beef with the fact that she's wearing leather pants that you could have poured her into. All right. She shouldn't be doing that under any circumstances. I mean, if you're a good Christian, you present as a good Christian, and that means that you're not, you know, overdoing the show of your body. So, okay, shame on her for that. But this is what's really making me angry. This was 1.5 seconds. All right. It was a quick hug. And of course, everybody ran to the conclusion. Everyone wanted to degrade her and hate on her and everything else. And I don't even understand these people who are doing this. I pray for them because they've got it all wrong. By the way, you can see that she hugs a woman the same way as she hugs a man. Of course, now they'll be saying, oh, well, that just means she's bi. Well, to me, the evidence speaks for itself. So leave Erica Kirk alone. The woman is grieving. She's trying to find herself right now, her identity without her marriage. And I won't say she's doing the best job of it. There are a lot of optics that she could have handled a whole lot better, and she hasn't. So she needs to get a team around her and somebody to, you know, tell her that, this is not how you should be doing things. Maybe, like let's trim this, let's do that, kind of point her in the right direction. That's what good friends, people that love her would do. Instead of attack her in her comments, why don't you have a little sympathy for the fact that she just lost her husband to in a most horrible way, that she has two children who are probably asking about him every day because you could tell that his relationship with them was very close. All right. And let's not forget about Charlie. I mean, what did Charlie want us, to do? He wanted us to be good children of God, of Jesus. Jesus defeated death so you can live. Charlie's gone now. Charlie's gone to Jesus. I will not assume, but I believe that everything went well for Charlie in the next life. I hope so. It's my hope. It is my personal belief, but I am not a judge and I cannot judge him. So, because I don't know what's in his heart or what he did behind closed doors. But I do believe from every indication that he was a good Christian. He certainly was an exemplary one. He certainly was one that I would point to as an example of someone that you should not necessarily emulate, but at least take lessons from. Now, this one is going to upset some people, but that's okay because nobody listens to me anyway. So, right now, I want to draw your attention to something that you may not know. All right. We know that there are the welfare queens and, some of these other people that are, you know, uh, creating TikTok videos to stir things up. I doubt a lot of these people even stole the stuff. That they're saying that they did. There's a video of I think it's a family of four running out to their car, and they even have the kid running with stuff. I don't know that that is actually legit. I do know there are real theft going on. I do know that it is not a good situation in some stores, and that security guards better keep their heads on a swivel, not just for the product, but for their own lives. Watch what everyone is doing around you, because confusion is where things happen. But I want to go away from all that. Everybody else is covering that. They're sensationalizing it. Okay, fine. Go with that. That's fine. I want you to think about the 15 million people on SNAP who are elderly and disabled because they're not welfare queens. They're people who absolutely need it. Now, a lot of people say, well, we shouldn't even have these social programs in the first place. Well, we try to remember everything fondly and like the best light and the best terms. But if you existed back when Social Security and other welfare programs were being created, there were people that froze to death in the streets. And it wasn't because they didn't want to work, it was because there was no work. Now, if you notice in America right now, there's layoffs going on everywhere. Amazon's going to lay off up to 600,000 people. 600,000 people that aren't going to have a job there anymore. And they're going to have to find another one. And okay, I think that any good conservative minded person or any decent person who wants to survive is going to find a way to get another job and be able to support themselves. All right. But as things go right now, we have 15 million people that rely on SNAP, that need that SNAP every month. And what I want you to do here is I want you to be a good Christian. Do you have a neighbor down the street that you know is poor? She's an older person, maybe. All right. I remember the 70s when older people were eating cat food and dog food. And I'm sure some people still do it today, but it was actually much more prevalent back then. You know why? Because they didn't have some level of social safety net. Yeah, you could say, well, they should have saved for their retirement and done this and invested and all this other stuff. A lot of people couldn't do that. And you know what? Here's the other thing. What's happened with a lot of people's 401ks? In a Trump economy, they're going to do well eventually. But for right now, they're taking a beat. And if we ever get another Democrat in there or a bad Republican in there, then the 401ks may take another beating. So all that you know it all about how to invest in your retirement goes right out the window because you could be broke in a day as far as your retirement goes. You could actually watch all the money that you have saved for your retirement just right down. So please, let's have a little mercy and a little concern for those that do not have their benefits this month. All right. I'm not saying that this government shutdown has to go any other way. It's the Democrats that are doing this, and the Republicans have to keep doing what they're doing. I get that. But I'm saying let's check on the neighbor. Let's find out if the older person isn't eating, if that guy that you see in the wheelchair or walks with canes and leg braces like I do, or any other, I don't walk with leg braces anymore, just a cane, thank God. Um, any of those things. All right. I want you people to at least do your best to help out. As poor as I am more than willing to help out anybody I know who is down and out on food. I've often done it for my roommate who's an addict, believe it or not, and he's actually stolen from me. So, but it's in my heart to forgive because Jesus forgave me. And if Jesus forgave me, then I have to forgive everyone, no matter how angry I am in my own mortal ego. And you have to be the same way. We have to be examples to everybody. But I'm not saying this is about forgiveness. I'm saying this is about charity to those who need it. Okay. If you can drop some food off at the food bank, that would be helpful because I know a lot of people at the food bank, they aren't just the welfare queens. They comprise a good percentage of the population. But again, out of the 45 million, I believe, that collect SNAP benefits, 15 of them are elderly and disabled. Some of them are even disabled veterans because what they get isn't enough otherwise. So please remember that. And I mean, look, the ridicule is necessary, because maybe we will get more proposed changes. I know Trump's made some changes now that's got a whole lot of them angry, and it's good. They're good changes. You got to work 80 hours a month, to collect if you have children at home. That's not a bad thing. There are some other changes that he made that I think are positive. He's cutting out Section 8 for a lot of people who could actually get up and get a job and do something about it. So I'm all for that. I'm a good conservative. I don't believe in just giving handouts to anybody just because it's a generational thing. I would like to see that cycle broken. God would like to see that cycle broken. So that's something that you can get behind. But at the same time, again, please let's not forget the disabled and the elderly. All right. Okay. Um, my next topic is something that I saw. Now, first off, I'm sorry, as many times as they try to whitewash it and tell you that you could consider Halloween a Christian holiday. Well, first off, it's not a holiday anyway, it's a day. But I think that if you celebrate Halloween, that you are um, letting yourself in for a little Samhain or Samhain, as it's often called. But this is utterly disgusting. I mean, who are these people? And why do we not ridicule them in public for doing this? This is absolutely disgusting. This is filth. This is the lowest of the low. And if we're not out there making these people feel like garbage for doing this, then we're not doing our job. All right. This is too far. This is too much. This is too sick. And I wouldn't want this if it had been a Democrat either, or someone who wasn't a conservative. But, this has to be one of the most egregious things I've ever seen. I mean, I've never seen people so bloodlust. And I know we're reaching the final days because this is who we become in the final days. Remember now, America is never going to go back to the way it was before. We got to create a new America now at this point. Yes, we have to bring some of the values from the old days back, and we have to live by those values, and we have to share those values, and we have to keep people to those values. We have to be gatekeepers of those values. Because I can tell you this, conservatives, one of the reasons why we are this messed up is because we didn't do our jobs as Christian fathers. I am one of the first to admit I went all wrong as a parent. Back in those days, I was living with a pagan woman, and I didn't give any pushback against anything that she was doing. And as a result, I mean, my daughter has fallen into, some pagan ways, which I am desperately trying to help her get out of. But for the time being, she is who she is. She is who she wants to be. And there's very little I can do except gently nudge when possible. All right. But that's not the issue here. The issue is we dropped the ball. We let too many things go by. We said, what the heck, the gay marriage thing. I'm sorry. At best, on a legal basis, given the American Constitution, we should have given them civil unions. We should have never called it marriage. And I'm not big on this gay adoption thing either. I just can't understand why we allowed that. I just don't see it because it's automatically creating a situation where you don't have a child in its natural circumstances. Now, again, the statistics ferret out that it's about the same between straight parents and gay parents in a per capita basis as to how messed up their kids turn out. So I can't say it automatically does that, but I'm saying that it lays the foundation for more of this abominations that we are creating. This trans agenda where we have, these, creepy people in G strings want to read books to our kids. And the books are generally, these foul books. Again, there was a person who brought a book from the library that children were allowed to read to their job and got brought down to HR as a result. So you mean it's okay for the little kid to read this kind of smut filth, and it's not okay to bring it into work? You'll get taken down to HR and you'll get a write-up. Do you see where the disconnect happens here? What are we doing? What are we allowing to be done? All right. We have to stop this. We have to make a stand and we have to protect our children. Okay, as you know, every week I kind of unofficially do a little segment of, dispelling a hoax. This one's going around the internet. This is not true. He was not disbarred. All right, Alvin Bragg. He's actually still in office, I believe. And um, it didn't happen. All right, it's a lie. Do not just buy into everything that you see on a piece of digital cardboard, let's say, and go along with it. Look it up, vet it. As soon as I saw this, I looked it up because I thought, wow, this would be cool. But, and I don't take joy in anybody losing their job, but I mean, this is a person that's doing harm. So what I would take joy in is that the harm is being stopped. Okay. It's a big difference. So just sharing my hoax of the week. All right, let me move on to a couple of last things here. This is very, very important. And I know I love that term, very, very important, but you can't change a person, but God can. Pray for them. All right. These influencers that are getting lost on these tangents, that are attacking all the wrong people for all the wrong reasons, these people that are calling for a false unity and then are knocking anyone who has a problem with them, that's a problem. I mean, use your own discernment. All right. If someone says, and I'm going generic here, if someone says Pol Pot was a really great guy, I remember his birthday, it's a special day to me, and the person interviewing him doesn't push back, that's an issue. All right. For the person that didn't push back. Again, it's not cancel them, it's not never listen to them again. All right. But it's a problem. And if you call yourself conservative and you choose a communist dictator as a hero of yours who was known for the slaughter of their own people, well, then it seems to me that you're more into tyrants than you are into being a conservative. I mean, that's all I can say about that. So let's keep praying for these people, okay? If not, we're not being obedient to God. That's not where we want to be. All right, another thing people are talking about is how everyone who's evil gets away with everything, and me who does everything right never gets away with anything. Well, God's got something for this. A Psalm of David. Don't worry about the wicked or envy those who do wrong, for like grass they soon fade away, like spring flowers they soon wither. Trust in the Lord and do good, and then you will live safely in the land and prosper. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you your heart's desires. Now, when he says your heart's desires, that should mean something other than just worldly things. I mean, one of the things that I watch a lot of videos, all things theology, one of my favorite channels for this. I watched these videos of these uh, people of the cloth. I don't know what kind of cloth because it isn't the same kind that I'm of, but these people of the cloth that teach a prosperity gospel. And they're basically spending their entire sermons trying to suck dollars. And I mean, some of them are amazing. They're asking for $1,000 from 20 people and they get it. It's, I mean, it's utterly gobsmacking. But I also know that those people are going to face a very strong judgment when the time comes. And they're going to face a judgment even greater than other people because they were supposed to be at the pulpit leading. And instead, they were lining their own pockets and they were serving their own greed. So let's try to get, if you know somebody that's in a prosperity church, try and get them away from that. I mean, it's a bad teaching unless, like, look, unless you you know, like it's one that's actually good. I've never really seen a prosperity church that whose doctrine I agree with. I don't knock people or religions or specific churches or whatever else, but I can knock doctrine, and that is just not a sound doctrine. All right, now let's not forget Tina Peters, okay? Tina Peters is guilty of catching Jenna Griswold and the Democrats cheating. whatever federal leverage it takes, free Tina Peters from prison, and let's bring Jenna Griswold up there and start filing some charges. There has to be some way of getting Tina Peters out of prison. All right. These people in Colorado are relishing in this. And Tina Peters is a good woman. She's a mother and a grandmother, and she did her best job for the people of Colorado. And she showed where they actually there actually was election fraud. And she's a martyr right now for that cause. And not only do I wish we would all pray for her every day and her well-being, but also I there has to be some way to get her out. There has to be something we can do. So please rack your brains on that. Another person that I don't want forgotten, who often gets forgotten, and I have a real problem with one thing about how people are covering her. All right, they're always showing the same picture of her because they think they're being real profound in making a point, and honestly, they're forgetting who she was. Okay. And of course, I'm talking about Irina Zaratustra. I think I got that right this week. My producer would probably laugh at that. This is the woman that I want to remember. Fun young lady, beautiful, whole life ahead of her. Yes, we lost her, but do we have to relive the knife incident forever and ever and ever? Nobody forgot. Everybody's seen that picture already. It has made the rounds. It has circled around. It has been done and done over and done to death. It has been done with writing, without writing, every way, every which way it can be done. Well, let's start remembering the actual woman. All right. And let's say a prayer for her family because they did a recent interview, and it seems like they're really hurting. Obviously, I mean, who wouldn't be? She's a beautiful young lady, and it's just unfair how it happened. Now, another thing I want to go over, lest we forget, is the Christians in Nigeria. Okay, this is a serious, serious problem. We have to pray for Christians in Nigeria. We have to pray really hard. Now, I know President Trump sounds like he's threatening to go in. What I think he's trying to do is I think he's rattling the saber, trying to get the president of the country to do something. And I was listening to George AA, also known as Beasy, um, earlier, and he said that the president there is suddenly starting to at least take some action. You know, it may be at this point cosmetic, but he's taking some action. So I hope that we don't get into an occupied war over it or anything like that. That's not what I'm looking for here. What I'm looking for is to save the Christians. And if you want to see how bad the stats are on this, uh, this will this should make your hair stand on end. I have it here somewhere, and I will find it. Here it is. Okay. Christian persecution in Nigeria. 18,000 churches burned since 2009. 52,000 killed since 2009. 5 million displaced since 2009. This year alone, 7,000 Christians have been slaughtered. And yes, every faction involved are Muslims. And no, it is not land disputes. These Christians don't have two nickels to rub together. They're good Christians. They go to church every Sunday, even though they know they could be killed for doing it. All right. You think you're a tough Christian? These people are tough Christians. All right. Because they show up knowing any moment that death could come and get them. And they still show up. Most of these people cannot even afford to own their own Bible. And now all of a sudden, Nigeria is, starting to come into its own with these oil reserves and everything. And the country is becoming more and more desolate as they're doing it. So there's something going on there. But personally, I think Trump is trying to push the president into doing something within his own country. And that's what I really hope he's trying to do. Because I really don't want us to get into another war. But at the same time, I'm conflicted because it's Christians being slaughtered. I Last week I played the video of the pastor that was speaking inside a mass grave, and the bodies were right there. And I mean, he's yelling, and you could hear his voice has such passion and such love for his people, and he's trying his best to get someone to hear him and pay attention. So let's try to pay attention to that, lest we forget. Okay, I think at this point here, it's good time to maybe close out the show. But there is one thing I want to show you. Of course, we always have a New Jersey moment every week. Well, every week I think of it anyway. And this is one of my favorites. Go away. Only in New Jersey can the street signs roast you. I didn't have time to look up where that sign is. I would love to find that street. I think that's just, pretty funny, and it's a very sort of New Jersey thing, you know. So there's that. Now, in closing, I do want to go through one more scripture with you. And it's one that I've done a few times before, but it is kind of important that we remember it because, again, the theme at the beginning of the show was about being a sycophant for some of these influencers. And in the process, you're going to lose your soul. And I don't want you to lose your soul. Just please remember this, okay? And again, put yourself on the white throne judgment and try to explain your tweet, your reply, your comment to a video. Try and explain that to Jesus Christ. All right. Try and explain that in your own mind to Jesus Christ, how you would explain this before you write those words down. I find that that is the best filter possible. And believe me, I was a foul mouth person who was quick with insults. I used to be very funny. I was very good at this, you know, and as I've evolved in my Christian journey, much more in the last year than ever before, probably because of all the health issues I've had. But as I've evolved in my Christian journey, I have found that, you know, this is the way to be. Proverbs 25:26. A righteous man falling down before the wicked is as a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring. Proverbs 16:8. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without. Matthew 5:6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. I want you to be filled. I want your life to be filled. I want you to be fulfilled. I want people to love one another once again. You're a Christian. You don't have to call this one that and that one this. You call out what they say. Like, okay, your natural, you know, um, affinity would be to say, well, this person's a scumbag. Well, why not say this person is acting like a scumbag? Because somewhere in there is a human being that God can reach. And maybe if we pray hard enough for them, God will reach them. And that's what he wants from you. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you. If I died this week, that would be the one thing that I would want everybody to do is to reach out and find a way to connect to people. I know they're polarized, and if they are, you pray that their hearts get softened. You keep praying that their hearts get softened. And the more of us that do that, the more likely it'll be that it will happen. So please pray for me because I am most certainly praying for you. Pray for America. Pray for Nigeria. Pray for the family of Irana Zaratuska. Pray for everything that I've mentioned tonight. Pray for those influencers that are falling off the tracks. And again, I brought it up last week, and I'll say it again. Glenn Beck at one point, now I'm not condemning him today. I'm saying Glenn Beck at one point during Trump's initial run was making a buffoon of himself. Not that he's a buffoon, but he was making a buffoon of himself. You know, he stuck his face in a plate full of Cheetos, thinking somehow that was a point against Trump. Now, I never hated Glenn Beck for that, but I stopped, you know, like liking him the same way that I did before. But at the same time, as time went on, you started to see the Blaze covered things that were helpful to the MAGA movement, and they were the exclusive on it. Just like I'm not a big fan of other places, but I will mention the Daily Wire, for some of its personalities, still has news and interviews sometimes that nobody else gets. So we all need to work together. All right. We don't have to like everybody, but we all need to work together. And we work around the aspects of people that we don't like. And we don't become insulting and try to start wars based on our sycophancy over this influencer or that influencer. And that was the whole point of tonight. Pray for me. I'm praying for you. Pray for America. God bless everybody.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. I'll identify these people, who they are and what they're doing, because one of them gets a deadly wound. And the beast which I saw was likened to a leopard. That's one that changes spots. That's your Kenite. And his feet were as the feet of a bear. That'll take in Roosh. And his mouth is the mouth of a lion, his tearing, and the dragon, who? Satan himself, the old dragon, gave him his power and his seat. What again does this word seat mean? Throne. The dragon himself gives the one world government its throne. That means its power. You might wonder, many people would say, well, how could all these nations from Tahiti, from Bahrain to Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Yemen, how could all of them at the same time rise up? They got something in common, my friend. And we're talking about somebody that's going to give it a throne. Not just a seat, a throne. What happens then? Verse 3. And I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Who healed that wound? Well, read the next verse. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? The one world government, you can't make war with that. Why? There's no government to go against it. It consumes the world, but not God's elect. This is where you got to understand, and this is why you got to have strong faith, is to know as long as God is with you, who can be against you? Nobody. As long as you are armed with the sword of the Lord, the truth, and you understand what's happening in the world, God protects you. You and He make a majority, and you can count on that. You can believe it.